Hello children, in this video we will be doing Unit 2.5, The Happy Prince. Children, this is a heart-touching story about the statue of a happy prince and a swallow, that is a bird. It shows the strength of love, compassion, generosity and friendship and the rewards that God gives us in our lifetime. So now let's read the passage and understand the lesson. The statue of the happy prince stood high above the city. It was covered with gold. Its eyes were bright blue jewels, and a red jewel hung from its waist. Everyone thought that it was very beautiful. "Why aren't you like the happy prince?" mothers said to their little boys when they cried. Sad men looked at the statue and said, "I am glad that someone in the world is happy." One night, a little swallow flew alone over the city. His friends had gone away, but he had stayed behind for 6 weeks. "Where can I stay tonight?" he thought. Then he saw the statue. "I will stay there," he thought. "It is high up, so there is plenty of fresh air." He landed between the feet of the happy prince. "I have a golden bedroom," he thought. But as he put his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. He looked up. "That is very strange," he thought. "There is not a cloud in the sky, but it is raining." Then another drop fell. "I cannot stay on a statue that does not keep me dry," he thought. "I must find another place." And he decided to fly away. But as he opened his wings, a third drop fell. He looked up and saw. What did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were full of tears. Tears rolled down his golden face. The face was very beautiful in the moonlight, and the swallow felt sorry for him. "Who are you?" asked the bird. "I am the happy prince." "Then why are you crying?" "I am wet with your tears." When I was alive," said the prince, "I had a heart like every other man, but I did not know what tears were. I lived in a palace where there was no sadness. In the daytime I played with my friends in a beautiful garden, and in the evening I danced. There was a high wall round the garden, but I did not know what lay on the other side. So I was called with the happy prince. I was pleased with my little world. Now I am dead, and they have put me up here. I can see all the unhappiness of my city. My heart now is made of cheap metal, but even that poor heart can feel. And so I cry." "Oh," said the swallow to herself, "he is not only gold on the outside." So now children, there was a statue of a happy prince that stood high in the city. Okay, it was built very high. And that statue of that happy prince was covered, the entire statue was covered with gold. And there were many jewels, okay, that were covered in certain parts of the statue. So they were, in the eyes, they had blue jewels, okay. The blue jewels were there in the eyes. Both the eyes were of blue jewels. And red jewels hung around his waist. So near the waist, there was a red jewel. And everyone thought that this statue was very, very beautiful, okay, because it was made out of gold. The entire statue was made out of gold. And there were many different type of colored jewels on it. So it looked very pretty. So what happened is that, why aren't you like the happy prince? Like many of the mothers in that city told to their little boys when they cried that why do you not be happy like the happy prince? Okay. And all the sad men used to look up to that statue and think to themselves, thinking that at least someone in the world is happy like this happy prince, the statue. Now, one night, what happened is that a little bird, swallow, was flying around in the city all alone. Okay? Now his all his friends, okay, the friends of that swallow had gone away, but he stayed behind for 6 weeks. Okay? Now what happened is that he was confused to where should he stay because this city was new to him. So now he was thinking, where should I stay at this night? Then suddenly he saw the statue of the happy prince, and he thought that I think I should stay here, as it was high up. Okay, it was very tall and built very high in the city, and there would be fresh air as well for that swallow to stay in that night. So as soon as he thought of all these things, the swallow, the bird, the bird came down between the feet of the happy prince, the statue, and thought that he has a golden bedroom to stay tonight. Okay, the swallow thought to himself. And then when he was, under that statue, he just, happened to see that there was a large drop that fell onto him. Okay, a large drop of water, okay, fell onto that swallow, the bird. The bird looked on top and saw that from where is this, water falling on me, the drop falling on me, because the cloud is also very bright. There is no there is no rain, and still from where is it falling? It is very strange, the bird thought to himself. Then he couldn't think of from where this water might be falling. So he thought to himself that he cannot stay in this under this statue where it is continuously watering, okay, or rain is falling, because birds need to be dry when they sleep. So the bird thought that I think it needs to go to some other place to sleep, and then decided to fly away from that place. But as it as it wanted to fly, open its wing and fly, another drop fell on it. Okay, and then the bird looked up and saw, okay, it saw on top. Then it saw that the eyes of the happy prince were full of tears, and it was very strange, right? How can a statue cry? So tears were continuously, rolling down from that golden face of that statue of the happy prince. So the face was very beautiful. Okay, the moonlight was touching the beautiful face of that happy prince. And the swallow was feeling very sorry for that statue. Okay, so who are you? Asked the bird. Okay, so the bird, swallow, asked to that statue of happy prince that who was he? And then the happy prince said that I am the happy prince. Okay, and the bird asked, why was he crying then if you are the happy prince? Your face is full of tears and you're wet with tears. Okay, and because of your tears, even I got wet, the swallow said. Okay, so then the prince said that when he was alive, okay, he was also like all the other people, all the other men in the city. Okay, he did not know anything about, tears or anything like that. And he lived in a palace, okay, a very beautiful and grand palace where there was no sadness. That prince never saw sadness when he was alive. And during the daytime, he used to play with his friends in his beautiful garden near the palace. And when it was evening, he used to dance and play and be happy. He never was sad. But there was a high wall around the garden, so he never knew what was there outside the palace. He never went outside the palace, so because of which he never knew what sadness was. So I was called the happy prince, because that prince was always happy, never knew, what sadness was. Okay, so it was a very wonderful and pleasing little world for him, as he never went outside his palace. Now that when he is dead now, okay, and he is built high up in the city, and now he can see every sadness and unhappiness going on in the city, okay, like the poor, the people crying, people being sad, everything he can see. But when he was alive, he did not see anything, because his palace was surrounded with a big wall, and he was never allowed to go outside that big wall. And till he was alive, he was always shown everything that is happy, and the world is full of happiness. But when he died and his statue was put up high in the city, he could see everything, all the sadness that is there in the city. And now his heart that is there is made of cheap metal. Okay, only the outside part of the statue was painted with gold, pure gold, but inside it was made up of cheap metal. But even that poor heart, okay, that was made of cheap metal, okay, that makes him cry, okay, that feels something, okay. So now the swallow felt very sorry for the happy prince, okay. It was feeling very sorry for the happy prince, because even though he is happy from outside, he is so full of, emotions from the inside. So that is why the swallow said to himself that he is not only gold in the outside. That means the happy prince who was painted with gold, pure gold, is not just gold from outside but from inside as well. Far away from here, said the happy prince in a low voice. There is a poor house in a little street. Through an open window, I can see a woman at a table. Her face is very thin and she has rough red hands. She is making a dress for one of the queen's ladies for a dance in the palace. Her little boy is lying on a bed in the corner of the room. He is very ill. He is crying because she can only give him water from the river. Little bird, will you take my red jewel to her? I cannot move from here. My friends are waiting for me in Egypt, said the swallow. Little bird, said the prince, please stay. The boy is crying and his mother is so unhappy. The happy prince looked very sad, and the little swallow was sorry for him. It is very cold here, he said, but I will stay with you for one night. Tomorrow I will take the jewel. Thank you, little bird, said the prince. So the swallow took the great red jewel from the prince's waist and flew away with it over the roofs of the town. He passed the palace and heard the sounds of dancing. The bird passed over the river and flew and flew. At last he came to the poor little house and looked inside. The boy was lying on the bed. The mother was asleep. She was so tired. He flew in and put the great red jewel on the table. Then he flew round the bed, moving the air around the boy's face with his wings. Oh, said the boy, my face does not feel so hot. I think I am getting better. And he fell asleep. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince. It is strange, the swallow said. It is very cold, but I feel quite warm. That is because you have done a good thing, said the prince. The little swallow fell asleep. When day came, the swallow flew down the river for a bath. A clever man saw him. That is very unusual, he said. That kind of bird here in winter. I must write that down. So now, children, as swallow was feeling very bad about the happy prince and felt that the happy prince is not just gold from outside but also from inside, then the prince, the happy prince, told the swallow that he can see someone very being very sad. He's saying that from here he can see far away that there is a poor house, in a little street, a very small and poor house in a street. From there he can see in the open window. He can see, the happy prince can see through a open window that a woman is there, who is sitting on a table, and her face is very thin. That means she hasn't eaten nutritious food from a very long time, okay, very thin face, and she has rough and red hands because she works so much, but still she does not have that much of money to even feed herself. And she is making, that means she is a tailor, that woman who is there, she is a tailor, and she is making a dress for the women's queens. Women's queens means, there are certain women who be with the queen, okay. So she is making a dress for the women's ladies. Why? Because there is a party that is there in the palace, okay. For the dance she is making this dress for the queen's women's ladies, okay. So she is saying that the happy prince is also saying that she has a little son, okay, a boy, who is lying in the bed in the corner of the room, and he is very ill, he is not feeling well, he is sleeping there and lying in the bed in the corner, and he is not feeling well. He is crying because she, that is the mother, cannot give him anything because they do not have money. The only thing that she can give her son is the water from the river. They are so poor. So happy prince is telling the bird that, can you take my red, okay, the jewel that was there on him, the red jewel that is there, can you take the red jewel and give it to her, okay, that is the mother or the family. So the bird said that, I cannot move from here, okay, my friends are waiting for me in Egypt. Now children, swallow is a bird which cannot survive in harsh winters, okay. It can only survive or live in pleasant weathers where there is sun and summertime. So when there was summertime in this city, it had come here, okay, but now it is winter. So at this time the swallow should go away from the city, but because of the happy prince, it has to wait. So now when the happy prince told the swallow to do this work, the swallow said to the prince that it cannot stay here any longer, because his friends, the swallow's friends, has already gone to Egypt, and at that time, in this time in Egypt, it is summer and the sun is high up, and in this city it is winter, okay. So it is saying that his friends are waiting for him in Egypt, okay. So the little bird was saying all this to the prince. So the prince said, requested the bird to stay, okay, please stay here, I want you here, okay, the prince said. He's saying that, I can see the boy is crying, he is ill, he is not feeling well, and the mother is also very unhappy. So he wants to very badly help them, okay. So the happy prince looked very sad. He wanted the swallow to stay behind, and the swallow felt very bad and sorry for the prince. So it is very cold here, he said, because the bird cannot take that much of cold, okay. It is not a species of bird that can take that much of cold. But he said that, I can do this for you, and he said that I will stay with you for one night, and tomorrow, that is the next day, he would take the jewel and go and give it to that family. So the prince was very thankful to the bird, because he really wanted to help that family of the mother and the son. So the swallow took that red jewel from the happy prince, okay. That bird pulled that jewel from that prince's waist and flew away, okay. It started flying away, and the description is given, okay, that the bird is flying from one roof to another, and he passed the palace as well, where the dance sound was on, okay. There was a party that was going to be there, so he could hear the sound of the music, okay, the dance and all. Now the bird passed over the river, okay, and flew and flew. That means there was a very long route which the bird had to fly. Now at last, when the bird reached the house, okay, it looked inside, okay, to see if anybody is there or no. So the boy who was there, who was very ill, he was sleeping on the bed, and the mother was also asleep where she was making the dress, and she looked very, very tired because she worked day and night. So the bird flew inside and kept that red jewel on the table, okay, and nobody saw it because the mother was sleeping and the boy was also sleeping. So he flew inside and kept the jewel on the table, and then he flew around the boy, okay, where the boy was sleeping. He just, was flying around there. And now when the birds fly, you can, because of the wings, there was air that was coming out from the wings, okay. So the boy was thinking, the boy was sleeping, right? So the boy felt little, breeze because of that wings that were flattering of the bird, of the swallow. So the boy suddenly, was thinking while he was sleeping. He felt that my face isn't feeling that hot. He was not feeling well, right? That means he was having fever. So when the bird passed around on his face, he felt that he is not feeling any hot anymore, and then again went to sleep. Then the swallow, after keeping the jewel and flying around the boy, he went out from there and went back to the happy prince. So he said, when he was flying back to the happy prince, it is strange, the swallow said. It is very cold, but I feel quite warm. That means even when it was so cold, but the swallow did not feel cold. Why? Because the happy prince said that you have done a very good thing of helping the family. Okay, so that is why you're not feeling cold, you're feeling warm. So the little swallow fell asleep. So because the swallow had flown so much, okay, it was a very long journey from the prince's statue till that place. So it was tired and went to sleep. And when the day came, the swallow flew down to the river. The next day, the swallow that was there flew near a river to take a little bath. And then, when it was taking a bath, a man in the city saw the swallow there, and he felt that this is very strange to see this kind of bird during this winter season. And he thought that he should write this down in his paper or article. I will go to Egypt tonight, thought the swallow. When the moon came up, he flew back to the happy prince. Can I do anything for you in Egypt? He said. Little bird, said the prince. Please, will you stay with me for one more night? My friends are waiting for me, answered the bird. Far away across the city, said the prince, I can see a young writer in a little room at the top of a house. He is sitting at a table that is covered with papers. At his side, there are some dead flowers. He is trying to finish a story, but he is very cold and he cannot write. There is no fire in the room, and he is weak and hungry. I will wait with you for one more night, said the swallow kindly. What shall I take to him? Take him one of my eyes, said the prince. They are made of beautiful blue stones. The young man can sell it and buy wood and food. He can finish his story. Take out your eye, dear prince, said the swallow. I cannot do that. And he began to cry. Do it, said the prince. So the swallow took out the prince's eyes and flew away to the young man's room. It was easy to get in because there was a hole in the roof, and the young man was sitting with his head in his hands, so he did not hear the bird's wings. When he looked up, a beautiful blue jewel was lying on the dead flowers. Someone likes my stories, he cried happily. This is a gift from someone who has read my books. Now I can finish writing my story. On the next day, the swallow flew down to the river. He watched the seamen working on the ships. I am going to Egypt, he cried. But no one listened to him. When the moon came up, he flew back to the happy prince. I have come to say goodbye to you, he said. Little bird, said the prince. Please, will you stay with me for one more night? It is winter, answered the swallow. The snow will soon come. In Egypt, the sun is warm and the trees are green. Dear prince, I must leave you, but I will never forget you. So now, children, the bird is saying that I will go to Egypt tonight. Okay, that he wants to go to Egypt because the cold is increasing, and because of this increasing cold the bird might die. So that is why it has to go out of the city as soon as possible. So it tells the prince that it will leave to for Egypt tonight. So when the moon came up, he flew back to the happy prince. Okay, he was thinking to himself that he should anyhow go to Egypt. So as it was night time, it flew back to the happy prince, and he said to the prince that does he have any good deed to be done in Egypt? So the happy prince said that little bird, he requested to the swallow that could he stay one more night with him, okay, just one more night. But the swallow was saying that how can I stay one more night? His friends were waiting for him in Egypt. Okay, so but the prince is saying that far away he has one more problem to solve. He can see someone who is sad. He's saying that far away from across the city, he can see a young writer, okay, who writes books and all. He can see that the writer is, very sad in a little room. He stays in a little room in a top of a house, and he is sitting on the table, okay, and the table is fully covered with papers, and he is not able to complete his story. On the table there are some dead flowers as well. It is very cold, okay, as it is winter season, it is very cold, and he is not able to write because he is very poor and he is very hungry, okay, and there is no heater, there is no fire where he can heat himself. So he was very hungry. So he's saying that to the swallow that can you go and give a jewel to that poor man so that he can sell that jewel and buy himself some wood to burn so that he can heat himself in the winter season and buy some food for himself. So he says that take for him this blue jewel and give it to that young man. So the swallow agreed and said that this I will wait for you just one more night, and then I will fly back to Egypt. So he said that just take this blue jewel that is in his eyes, okay. So the bird said, how can I take out your eyes? You will not be able to see. So the bird was feeling very sorry because he cannot take out the prince's eyes, right? He was feeling very emotional because after that the prince will not be able to see with both his eyes. But the prince said that please do it, remove my eye and give it to that poor writer. So then the swallow that is there took out the prince's eye and flew to that young man, the writer, and went inside the room. And it was very easy to enter his room because there was a hole in the roof. So the young man who was there, he was sitting on the table, okay, he was sitting near the table with his heads on his hands, okay, he was putting his head down. So when the bird entered the room, he couldn't hear the wings, okay, when the birds flap their wings the noise comes, right? So he did not hear the wings. So when he looked up, okay, the bird that is there, it kept the jewel near the dead flowers and went away. Now when the young man, the writer, woke up, he saw beautiful blue jewel that was lying on the dead flowers, okay, that was there beside the table. He thought to himself that someone might be liking his stories because he is an author, right? He writes many books. So maybe someone might have given him this blue jewel as a gift to him. Maybe someone might have liked his stories. So he was feeling so happy because he did not have anything. So now he could sell this blue jewel and buy for himself something to eat and some wood to burn. Now this, he thinks that this is a gift from someone and he feels very happy. And he finishes his story. He thinks that now my hunger will go because of this jewel. He'll sell it and he can write good stories. On the next day, the swallow flew down to the river, okay, it flew down to the river, and he was watching the seamen, that means the people who are with the boat and all. He was seeing the men who are working on the ships, and he said to himself that I literally want to go to Egypt. He cried, okay, because the bird, if it stayed any more in that city, it would die, because if it will start to snow, then it will not be able to take that much of cold. He thought that he wants to go. He cried loudly, but no one listened to him. Now, when again night time came up, he flew back to the happy prince. Okay, again in the evening, the swallow went back to the happy prince, and he said that I have come here to the happy prince. He said that I am come here to say goodbye to you because I want to go back to Egypt. But now again, this happy prince said that please stay, okay, you please stay one more night. So the swallow said that winter is coming and I cannot stay here any more longer because this cold will kill me. I will not be able to stay. As soon it will snow and it will kill me. And in Egypt it was summertime. The trees are green, okay, and all his friends are waiting for him in Egypt. But dear prince, I must leave, but I will never forget you. That means he said that I should leave for Egypt, okay, and I will leave you, but I will never forget, okay, because he has done so much good things. He has given his jewels from the waist and from the eyes, okay. He said that he will never forget the happy prince. A little girl is standing there in the square below. She is selling eggs. Her eggs have fallen on the ground and they are broken. She has no money to take home. Her father will hit her. Take out my other eye and give it to her. I will stay with you for one more night, said the swallow. But I cannot take out your other eye. You will not be able to see. Do it, said the prince. So the swallow took out the prince's other eye and flew down with it. He flew to the girl and put the jewel in her hand. This is a beautiful piece of glass, cried the little girl. She ran home laughing. Then the swallow flew back to the prince. You cannot see now, he said, so I will stay with you. No, said the poor prince, you must go to Egypt. I will stay with you, repeated the swallow, and he slept at the prince's feet. The next day, he stayed with the prince. He told the prince stories about the strange lands that he knew. Dear little bird, said the prince, you are telling me about strange and wonderful things, but the suffering of men and women is stranger than anything. Fly over my city, little bird. Tell me what you can see. So the swallow flew over the great city. He saw the poor people sitting at the gate. He flew into the dark streets and saw the white faces of hungry children with sad eyes. Under a bridge, two little boys were lying close together to keep warm. We are so hungry, they said. You cannot lie there, shouted a guard. Then the swallow flew back and told the prince. I am covered with fine gold, said the prince. Take it off piece by piece and give it to my poor people. The swallow pulled off the gold until the happy prince looked grey and ugly. The swallow took the gold to the poor and the children's faces became brighter. So now children, as the swallow was saying that it cannot stay here any more longer, but the happy prince again requested the swallow to stay here and told one more sad thing, that he wants to help someone again. He is saying that he can see from there above a little girl, okay, who is standing in a street in a square below, and she is selling eggs. Okay, that little girl is selling eggs, but something bad has happened with her. That is, all her eggs have fallen down on the ground and they have all broken. And when she will go back home without any money, her father will shout and hit her. So the happy prince is telling that this to the swallow, that take my other eye, the blue jewel, and give it to that poor little girl. So the swallow says that I will stay with you for one more night. Okay, so he's saying that he would stay with the happy prince, said the swallow. But it was not agreeing to take the other eye out of the prince, because if the swallow will remove the other blue jewel from the eye, then the happy prince will not be able to see anymore. So he was feeling very emotional for the prince, and he does not want to remove the eye of the prince. But then the prince said that I want you to remove it and give it to that poor little girl. It will help her and the father will not shout at her. So the swallow removed the blue jewel from the eye of the happy prince and flew to that little girl and kept the blue jewel in her hand. So the little girl was very happy after looking at this beautiful piece of glass. She thought to herself and cried happily, saying that my family will be very happy looking at this blue jewel. She ran home laughing. Okay, she was very happy after the swallow gave the blue jewel to her. Then the swallow flew back. Okay, it went back to the happy prince and said that you cannot see anymore now because both your eyes are gone. You cannot see anymore. So now I will stay with you because you cannot see. But the happy prince said that you should go to Egypt now because it is getting cold here. But the swallow said that I cannot go away. I will help you in looking at things because now you cannot see. So now I will help you. And after telling this, it slept in the prince's feet. The next day, he stayed with the prince. Okay, he did not go. He says that the swallow says to the prince that I will stay here and help you in looking around the city. Now the swallow started telling different stories, okay, because now the prince cannot see anything, right? So the swallow started telling strange stories because the swallow is a migratory bird, right? It flies from one place to another, so it knows many different stories from different places. Lands means different countries. So he started telling the prince different stories. But the prince said that instead of telling me these wonderful and strange stories, you tell me what is happening around in the city. Tell me the sufferings, okay? Who is suffering from something? Is there anyone who is crying? Is there anyone who is suffering from anything? So he told the swallow to fly over the city and see if anyone is crying or wants anything, okay? To tell him what he can see around in the city. So the swallow started flying over the great city, okay, so that he could see if anybody is poor or is in need of anything. So when the swallow was flying over the city, he saw many poor people, okay, he saw the poor people sitting at the gate, okay, some gate, and he flew into the dark streets. Dark streets means what? Where there is no light, where there is all filth and poor and dirty streets. He flew near that place and saw the white faces of hungry children. That means children are sitting hungry, they are not having food to eat, their eyes are sad. And under a bridge, the bird saw two little small boys who are sitting close to each other because the city is having a winter season, right? So there were two boys who were sitting close to each other. They did not have any house. They were sitting close to each other because they wanted to warm themselves. And they were so hungry, okay? They did not have anything to eat. But when they were sitting there under the bridge, there was a guard who came there and shouted at the two boys saying that you cannot sit there because it is not a public place to sit. So they were shooed away from there. The guard was telling them to get up from there. Then the swallow came back to the happy prince and said that I covered and said all the things to the prince, okay, that what he saw, all the things the swallow told to the happy prince. So now the happy prince told that the prince is covered with pure gold, okay, there is a lot of gold that is covered. So he said that remove little by little, take off the gold from me piece by piece, remove it and give it to all the poor people who are in need, okay, scrape it off. Scrape means what? Scrape the paint or the gold paint that is put on the prince. So the swallow pulled off the gold until the happy prince looked grey and ugly, okay. So now what did the swallow did? He obeyed whatever the happy prince told him and removed piece by piece every gold that was covered on the prince. It removed it and gave it to all the poor people. And now, finally, when the entire gold was scraped out from that happy prince's statue, the statue looked very grey colored and very ugly. Earlier it looked so beautiful with all the jewels and all, but now, because there was no jewels now and even the gold was removed, it looked very grey and ugly. The swallow took all the gold and gave it to the children, and all the children who were there, who were poor and hungry, they became very happy, thinking that now they can buy food for themselves. "We have bread now," they cried. Then the snow came. Ice followed the snow, and hung down from the roofs of the houses. Everyone wore thick coats. The little swallow became colder. He did not leave the prince because he loved him very much, but he was dying. "Goodbye, dear prince," he said. "I am glad that you are going to Egypt," said the prince. "You have stayed too long." "I am not going to Egypt," said the swallow. "I am going to the house of God." It fell down dead at his feet. Then there was a strange sound inside the statue. Crack! The metal heart broke into two pieces. Early next morning, an important man in the city was walking below with two of his friends. He looked up at the statue. "The happy prince does not look very bright," he said. "The red stone has disappeared. His eyes are not there, and he is not golden. He looks like a beggar." "Yes, he does," said the man's friends. "Here is a dead swallow at his feet," said the officer. "We must make a order that birds cannot die here." They pulled down the statue of the happy prince and put it in the fire. A stream of bright metal ran out. "This is strange," said the workmen. "This broken piece in the middle of the statue has stayed hard. We must throw it away." So they threw it away with the dead bird. God said to his servants, "Bring me the two best things in the city." They brought him the broken heart and the dead bird. "Yes, you have brought the right things," God said. "This little swallow will sing for ever in my garden, and the happy prince will stand in my city of gold." So now, children, as the swallow scraped gold from the prince's statue, okay, the entire body, and gave it to the poor children, the children who were there, the poor children who were there, they cried with happiness that they can buy food for themselves now. And then what happened is that winter came in full swing and there was snowfall all around. Okay, there was snowing, there was snowfall, and all the the roofs of all the houses was covered with snow and it was hanging down. Okay, now everyone, whoever was there, all the people in the city started wearing sweaters and thick coats to cover themselves of the cold. Now the little swallow started feeling the cold. Okay, it was getting colder and colder, and now it could not bear that cold. He did not leave the prince. Okay, till now also it was still staying with the prince because he really loved the happy prince. He did not wanted to leave the happy prince. But now he was dying. Okay, because that bird cannot adapt to cold season. It cannot stay alive in the cold season, and now snow was falling, so he was dying. And the swallow said goodbye to the happy prince. But the happy prince thought that the bird is going to Egypt. Okay, and he was very happy that finally the swallow was going to Egypt. So the bird answered saying that he was not going to Egypt. The prince said that you have stayed for a very long time. Now you should go to Egypt. But the bird said that I am not going to Egypt. Okay, but I am going to the house of God. House of God means what? He is dying. After saying that he is going to the house of God, he fell down dead on the feet of the happy prince. Okay, life went out of that bird because he could not take in that much of cold in that city. Then after that bird fell dead, The statue, okay, that is a prince's statue, felt a shock because even the prince liked the bird very much because it had done so many things for him. And then suddenly, when the bird fell down, dying, there was a strange sound inside the statue. Okay, there was a crack in the metal heart of that happy prince, and the heart which was there broke into two pieces. So in the next morning, okay, as the day passed away and next morning came, there were some, important men. Okay, important man means what? It may be a prince or it may be the governor, was, walking around near the statue with his friends. Okay, he was taking a walk. Then when he saw and had a look at the statue of the happy prince, he saw that this prince, or the statue of the happy prince, does not look very bright. It is looking so dull, and all the gold and jewels are gone, okay, are disappeared. His eyes is not there, and he is not looking gold. And he said that this statue is looking like a beggar. And his friend said, yes, he does look like a beggar. The happy princess statue was not looking good, and he agreed and said yes. Now he also saw a dead swallow near his feet. Okay, said the officer. He must have, he said that the officer, the lawyer or the governor who was there, the important person who was there, when he saw the dead body of that swallow, he said that how can birds die near a prince's statue? And he said that birds should not be allowed to die here. Okay. And then he said that this statue should be removed from here as it looks ugly and does not look pleasing. So they removed the statue of the happy prince and burnt it, okay, because it was made of cheap metal, right? So they burnt the statue and steam started coming out from that metal, okay. But one strange thing happened when the workers were burning that statue. They saw something very strange. So metal burns, right, with fire. When you burn a metal, it melts with the heat. But there was something, very strange that happened. The heart of the statue did not melt, children. Okay, the heart that broke into two pieces in the middle of the statue did not melt. It stayed hard. Okay, it was hard even when all the rest of the metal was melting. So the workers who was there, they felt it very strange, and they thought that we should remove this dead bird and the heart and throw it away. So they threw the swallow, the dead body of the bird, the swallow, and the heart away together. Now here the story has ended. So what happens is that now we are seeing a scene of God, okay, that is heaven. So once God said to his servants, okay, to the angels, to bring the two best things in the city. Okay, he told its servants to bring the two best things in the city. So the servants brought him the broken heart of the happy prince and the dead bird. And so the God said to his servants that you have got me right. You have brought me the right things, okay, two right things, that is the broken heart of the happy prince and the swallow, because they have done good deeds by helping the poor people. So God had told to bring the best things, two best things from the earth. So these were the two best things that were there right now on earth. So the servants had brought this to God and said that from now onwards in heaven, in God's garden, this little bird swallow will sing and fly around in the garden, and the happy prince will stand tall in the city of gold. City of gold means what? Heaven. Okay, so God gave them the status of, flying in the heaven for the bird, and the happy prince was standing as tall in the city of gold, that is heaven. So children, did you all see how the good deeds of these two, that is the swallow and the happy prince, gave them happiness even when they died? This was the good thing that they did of compassion, generosity and friendship. They kept their friendship till they died. So with this, we have now completed with the explanation. Thank you for listening, children. Take care.